Please pay careful attention to the safety precautions mentioned at the beginning of this video. Press the pause button when necessary to ensure you have read and understand these important messages before continuing. Safety should always be number one before beginning to use the TT machine. Ensure all personal protection equipment, PPE, is available and used when operating the machine. At a minimum, the following should be used: safety glasses, gloves for handling sharp metal, safety shoes, and a lab coat. Loose clothing and jewelry shall be removed or tucked such that they cannot be snagged by the machine as it rotates. Serious injuries could result if proper safety is not followed. For a simple cutting operation with the TTNG, you will need two different tools: the pointed tool bit, TT1-PT, and the severing tool bit, TT1-PL. The shim number 1 is used to hold the tools in the carriage. When the tools are set up, you can put the two carriages side by side to check the setup. The cutting part of the two tools have to be at the same level. For a cutting and beveling operation, you need the TT1-PL and a beveling tool. The beveling tool can take different forms depending on the bevel geometry required. The different shim tool configurations are shown in the manual. When the tools are set up, you can put the two tool carriages side by side to check the setup. Again, the cutting part of the two tools have to be at the same level. When you open the machine, the first thing to check is that the red screws are in position. These screws prevent the plates from moving during the opening of the machine. Remove the 3 screws on the top of the machine and the 3 screws on the bottom. The TT can then be opened and you can put it on the tube. Once the TT is on the tube, you can tighten the 6 screws to close the machine. Don't forget to remove the red screws before starting the machine. The next step is to set up the TT perpendicularity and concentricity. Put the expansion blades into contact with the tube. First, adjust and check the perpendicularity of the machine with a metal set square. Check the perpendicularity in front of 2 jaws. Then adjust the concentricity by moving the jaws back and forward. Check the distance between the machine and the tube with a depth gauge. To adjust the concentricity, properly move the jaws in pairs. You can then tighten the clamping jaws, but check that the TT does not move during the process, and check the perpendicularity again. Then tighten the backing bolts to lock the TT adjustments. The next step is to mount one tool holder carriage on the machine. You can mount the clutch finger on the machine. To set up the feed stroke of the tools, the height of the clutch finger has to be adjusted by using the special shim supplied with the machine. The feed stroke with one tooth engaged is 0.08 mm per turn and 0.16 mm per turn with two teeth engaged. When the height of the clutch finger is adjusted, you can approach the finger to the carriage so the finger is at the same level with the star wheel. Then mount the second tool holder carriage. The position of the second tool holder carriage on the machine has to be the same as the first carriage. Approach the tool bits closer to the tube, approximately 2 mm away from making contact with the tube. The first tool to touch the tube shall be the pointed tool in the case of a simple cutting operation, or the beveling tool in the case of a beveling operation. In order to do this, engage and disengage the clutch finger to move one carriage and not the other one. The pointed or beveling tool needs to be approximately 0.3 mm deeper than the square nose tool bit. To remove the chips during the machining process, never use your hand. To remove the chip easily, disengage the clutch and wait until the tools are not machining anymore. The chip will fall off by itself. The speed has to be adjusted depending on the material to machine. The harder the material is, the slower the machine speed has to be. Once the cut has been finished, disengage the clutch finger and let the machine rotate for about 3 full turns, and then stop the machine. Remove the tool holder carriages and the clutch finger from the machine. Do not change the adjustment of the machine. Mount the bed plate. Mount one standard tool holder carriage on the bed plate. Insert the counter boring carriage in the standard tool holder carriage and tighten it. The counter boring carriage can move in two directions, axially and radially. The first thing to do is to set up the machining pass. Begin by putting the tools in contact with the bore of the tube. This sets the 0 point for machining. Then, back off the radial adjustment slightly so that the tool bits no longer contact the bore surface. Then, fully back off the axial adjustment. To set the depth of the machining pass, move the star wheel, which advances the radial feed. Each increment is 0.08 millimeters. Once the machining pass is adjusted, start the machine. To begin machining, turn the hand grip 1 time per turn. This will advance the carriage axially and machine the counterbore of the tube.